Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, my dear.
How are you?
I'm great, by the grace of God.
We thank God. Good to see you.
Sure, good to see you too.
How's Parliament treating you?
Well, first off, let me thank you exceedingly for granting me this treasure space. And with your leave, thank the good people of Afadjato South, the chief, the people, the men and women, the youth groups, all those who have canvassed for vote for me. It's been a hard battle, not an easy walk in the park, but we are grateful to God, and then I thank them so much. Well, back to Parliament. As I said, the struggle has been tough for well over 18 to 20 years.
Oh, really?
I've been within this space, but behind the scene, working all the way from the grassroots to the top in Afadjato South by serving as the constituency chairman of the party. And so it is the case that I know the constituency extremely well, and I was very confident I was going to win. And so at a certain point in time, I got into the mood of Parliament in order to represent the good people of Afadjato South and to build upon what my predecessors have done. And then so that has been the case. And so far, I think that it's been an exciting experience in Parliament. I am not disappointed in any way. It's daunting, it's challenging, but the first survived difficult moment. I have had a training from my secondary school, Bishop Eman Secondary School, where we embrace industry, we embrace relentless sacrifice. We believe that the God factor is important. However, you need to work extremely hard. And so my few days in Parliament has been a matter of working hard in order to give Afadjato South a place within the public space. We are talking about 275 member chamber. And definitely, you ought to assert yourself diligently in order to raise the banner of your constituency. And that is what I've been doing so far.
In going into this election, you're going against a two-time incumbent. I mean, you were a constituency chairman. Was it a hard, an arduous task for you?
Indeed, it's been extremely hard and quite unpredictable. Sir John once said, fear delegates. Your fate, when you are in a contest such as internal party primaries, your fate lies largely in the hands of the delegate. And sometimes you cannot read their mind. Every candidate aspirant goes to them, they nod, they tell you they'll vote for you. And so you do not really know who they are fooling and who they mean well to. But I think that for me, I had a certain trump card going into the race.
Which was?
I think for 15 solid years, I have given my all to them.
Okay.
It's been a relentless moment of sacrifice. Every bit of assistance that I have to marshal to come to their aid in terms of excitement, during moments of grief, I've been there for them. And indeed, I've got the architecture of the constituency right in my palm. And sometimes psychologically, you're able to read the mind of these people. So having lived with them over the years, having shared their moment of grief and excitement, I knew, even though it was a race against an incumbent who was more resourceful, but I knew I was going to win. And not just a win, but I targeted a massive win, because all along behind the scene, it is the case that my campaign was driven by science as well. Consistent research, service, here and there. We have 11 traditional areas in Afadjato South. And so my predictions came true. What we're going to pull traditional area by traditional area exactly manifested on the D-Day. And so we couldn't even rejoice that much, because we got straight into the mood of service. Got straight into the mood of putting Afadjato right at this treasure space within the political map of Ghana. That is our aim. That is our objective. And I think with the grace of God, we are really going to achieve it. Within Volta region, there are certain constituencies where you may not necessarily bother yourself with who the MP is, but you have heard several times about the constituency. You talk about North Town, you talk about Adaklu. Look, I really want Afadjato to be on the lips of people.
Well, Afadjato is, especially when you talk about natural resources, you talk about the Afadja Mountain, right? Yeah, so a lot of people have heard Afadjato as a mountain, right? Afadja as a mountain,
Sure.
but they do not really know the ins and outs of that particular constituency. I have a picture here which talks about the various resources in... I see snake. Okay, so this is a waterfall, right?
Sure, Tagbo Waterfalls.
Okay, which is located?
It is located at Liatiwote, the exact village where we have the mountain Afadja or Afadjato. The Afadjato, in English, you call it Mountain Afadja. The name is Afadja. In Ewe, when you say To, one of the meaning is mountain. To can also be maybe your ear. To can also be your in-law, depending on how you pronounce it. So in this context, Afadjato means mountain Afadja. And so in that particular special village called Liatiwote, we have the Tagbo Falls and we have mountain Afadja. Then fast forward, you go to Tafi Atome, which is, Tafi is one of the most resourceful traditional areas in Afadjato South. And then you have the Monkey Sanctuary. In fact, it's exciting. It's an exciting place. It's a place that you should, very soon consider visiting. That is where the monkey is on the shoulders of the caretaker. Then again, we have a snake village, which is also close to Liatiwote. It's at Liati Soba. Yeah, basically it's like one-man village sort of. And then he has different species of
Are these snakes not poisonous?
Well, it depends. You see, for every creature of God, the manner of care, the extent of care, how you handle them. Snake can sleep by your side on your bed, depending on how you show courtesy, care. It won't harm you. And so whether poisonous or not, the craft lies in the caretaker's ability to take good care of them. And so they have become a hobby. And then those are his pets. And so when you visit, he's able to teach you all the craft, so that you can hold a python and it won't bite you. Cobra, it won't bite you. Those are the things we are talking about. And so at Afadjato, we have a huge bouquet of tourist facility we offer in a one-stop shop. That is what makes it very unique.
But why are all these places, I mean, I see beautiful places here, why have they not been explored to its full potential? So
it is the essence of why we are here, and then we'll share several other platforms. Branding, marketing, lack of or inadequate infrastructure. In most of these cases, the access road leading to the place are in very deplorable state. And so when tourists, be it local or foreign, come, and the next time the experience is not good enough, they get so exhausted, the road is so bad, they feel ache all over. They won't come next time. They won't recommend the place. And so I'm very optimistic that with the Mohammed-led administration, of course with the supermajority, the fact that we have shown so much love to the NDC year in, year out, the people are desirous, they are expectant. And I believe that as their lead, as their mouth, as their everything, their representative in parliament, these are the things I'm going to do, contact and crusade for the construction of the road. Once it is done, I believe it is one way getting the problem solved. Indeed, because behind the Afadjato mountain is Togo. We share border with Togo. So in terms of network, Togo network rather works better. And so last time in Parliament, I met the Minister of Communication, my own brother Sam George, and we have very good discussion. I'll follow up soon so that we rectify communication issues along that corridor stretch. And it comes with data accessibility too, so that you're able to download, access your internet as a tourist, as an investor, or as just a mere visitor. So we are talking about funding, we are talking about branding. For me, one of the exceptionally exciting news is the appointment of Dr. Kobi or Professor Kobi Mensah to be in charge of Ghana Tourism Development in a company. As a brand specialist, someone who understands this space, I hope to liaise with him and his institution so that we see how we are able to transform the lot after this. Look, I tell you honestly, at certain points, Egypt was able to rake in over 30 billion US dollars in a year just from tourism.
Yeah.
Why can't we do so? Here we are chasing the IMF for paltry sums of money when we have low fruit lying on the ground for us to pluck. I think that these are the areas that I'm really going to partner the sector ministers and ministries, departments and agencies so that we do our best for my people. Because once we get
but
it
But
right,
what has hampered effective funding of these areas that you talk about? Because, I mean, these are areas that we even read about while in primary schools and junior secondary schools.
Yeah, I think to some extent, if I can hazard a guess, it is also about the commitment, political will, sometimes our own appreciation as a nation of the value of tourism.
Is it that the previous administration under Mohammed did not have an appreciation of tourism? Because obviously, it was then from 2012 to 2016, it was then your government in power.
We need to give so much credit to John Dramani Mahama. Previously, we were part of GHOne Municipal Assembly. It was within his reign in 2012 that our district has been carved out. And so within the space, you need to ask yourself between healthcare, critical healthcare, to maternity women, snake bite issues, water shortage issues, educational issues, and tourism. Which one comes first? It's a matter of priority. John Mahama gave us new district, gave us a lot of cheap compounds and clinic to take care of maternal and child mortality and then health issues. And then fast forward, provision of potable drinking water and all this. Whilst at that, we do not have the funding to face all other sectors, including tourism, if you really want to prioritize. And so it was the case that we lost power in 2016 and a new government came. Ordinarily, one expects that they will come and build on the foundation that has been established by the John Mahama administration. But that has not been the case. Very disappointing. But I believe strongly that this is a baby of John Mahama and the NDC government, having established the district. Will not leave it low-lying, will not leave it idle. We are going to build and leapfrog to the next level on tourism and its potentials and benefits.
I'll come back to tourism, but let's talk about the issues that your constituents have. Unemployment is a challenge, the road network, water is also, access to potable water is a critical challenge.
Sure.
What are your priorities in tackling these things? I know that is not your mandate as a member of parliament.
I think you have introduced a very exciting dynamics. You know, I recall during our orientation, the learned and respected legislator, Muntaka Mohammed, Honorable. Yes, he took us to a section. Then basically, he drew a parity between what traditionally constitutes an MP's
mandate,
obligation or mandate. And so it is the case that if you go to the constitutional provision, Article 47.1, it's about representation role. Article 103, Clause 3, it's about oversight. Then, of course, our legislative mandate lies in Article 93.2. You know, but you see, for your constituents, those are not the very reason they've sent you to Parliament.
Why did they send you to
Parliament? Someone got arrested on Okada, and he thinks that he's voted for an MP. And so the MP's core mandate must be how to rescue or bail him from the police. You are sick on admission at the hospital, and you cannot pay your hospital bill, your MP must pay. That is the harsh reality of our people.
Is it not, sorry to cut in, but is it not because these MPs have also taken advantage, you MPs, because I'm not an MP, you MPs have also taken advantage of the propagation of your message and telling the constituents what they should expect, contrary to what you are supposed to do?
No, of course, I won't fault you. And I think that is really the case. During the contest, we are bound to make all kind of promises. And of course, look, the reality is that no one takes delight in begging. Our constituent, especially my constituents in Afadjato, they are hardworking people, people of integrity. So they are not excited to hold cap in hand and be begging for crumbs. No, it's not the case. But so it's about the glass being half full or half empty. We have a responsibility as the political class to come up with policies that will inure to the benefit of the people, that will ameliorate their hardship and suffering, that will eliminate poverty and hardship in the midst of plenty. And so, yes, when you go during your campaign on the campaign trail, you are driven by emotion and you make all kind of promises. And so I agree that we are responsible for where we find ourselves. But realistically, we are equally agents of development in many cases, because there is a bit of allocation that is made for you under the common fund, albeit paltry, very small. But that alone signals that you are also expected to undertake some form of development. So it is about priority, how you channel it judiciously. And then you must have empathy in such a way that you do not sit on the little that is meant to benefit the people. And so on the campaign trail, I have been aware of the issues, having served as chairman. So I know a good number of communities as at now, they do not have electricity.
Okay.
My immediate mandate is to champion a course that will provide them and get them hooked onto the national grid. In fact, it has health implication. It also has business implication, you know, because those who would like to engage in coastal business and a whole lot of things.
Because if you're asking tourists to come into your constituency and there's no access to electricity, why would I want to come in? Absolutely.
But coincidentally, almost all the tourist facilities that we have, the communities in which they are located, they have light. You see, in my area, officially you have about 73 communities. But in between these 73 communities, you can have almost about 73 others that are not even recognized. Each day, communities are springing up. 20-man, 15-man community. And so sometimes it makes it increasingly difficult for government to match up, much as we are determined and willing, you know, to create all the enabling environment and to have them get access to all these facilities. Communities are springing up day in, day out. But with my knowledge on the ground as a former chairman, I have data on communities that must be hooked on the national grid for electricity provision. I have communities that must be given potable drinking water, communities that, by way of proximity, need cheap compound or clinic for provision of health needs. It's extremely important. Then again, the dynamics of the constituency. I have a geographically unique constituency.
Okay.
So you have the tallest or the highest mountain in the country. And you have communities along this mountain where they cannot be thoroughfare by way of vehicular access, right? So as a member of parliament, I have to hike, I have to walk for about 2 hours.
Wow.
Yes. I think that I'll be inviting you soon. We'll take a walk. Yes. Sometime maybe you can use about 3 or 4 hours.
Wow.
You know, yes. And it gets so interesting when you see how they ferry the sick and the dead from the tip of the mountain to down, either for burial or for receiving of medical attention. It's a whole theatrics, it's a whole spectacle that, you know, you need to behold. And sometimes, if you are not minded by certain factors, your emotion will drive you, so that you may even cry. And unfortunately, these are the people who put food on our table.
Yeah.
In Afadjato, we produce the best of avocado pears in the country. In fact, the best of bananas that you can see, they come from my area. And coincidentally, they come from the GHOne-speaking areas. So we're talking about Nyagbo, Tafi, Loba. And they are all, these farms are all on the mountain. The communities are all on the mountain. And most of them do not even have electricity. So we, at the moment, what we can do to ameliorate their suffering is to provide solar services to them.
Was your constituency or your district beneficiary of the one district, one factory?
No.
Okay.
No. In fact, as far as we are concerned, the MPP doesn't know we exist as a district. Nothing. I think the only visible thing that they attempted doing was the Agenda 111, and then it stalled. I think that I'm going to, for the sake of the people, plead with His Excellency, and then, of course, our leaders in this government, the Minister of Health, all other stakeholders, so that as a matter of agency, we are able to finish such an edifice, such a facility, so that it benefit it nears to the
You said, as far as the NPP is concerned, your district doesn't exist.
Of course.
Did you benefit from the drone services?
The drone service. Yeah, so if you speak to the ordinary man and ask whether the drone had made any impactful delivery, they'll tell you no. Yes, so they get sick, they go to the regional hospital, and they must have family people to go and donate blood. And so on paper, drone service has been launched by the then Vice President.
Okay.
But in reality, the people have not experienced anything like that.
Okay.
Yes, I mean, I'm ready, anyone who has a contrary fact, not to unnecessarily litigate this thing, because we have a mandate now to right the wrong, you know, and to do right what is in the eye of the public. It is the essence of change. Once the voter realizes that a regime is not living up to expectation, and they give you the mandate. Yours is not to embark on blame, but to see how you are able to take practical steps that will give the realization that, look, the voter has not wasted their time in voting for you. Yes. So that is the dynamics in my constituency. And so right from road, so some of them roads on the mountain, during the peak of the rainy season, it is difficult for even a four-wheeled vehicles to get there. Wow. So from Kweve, when you are going to Govio Petoji, that is a difficult area. From Agodome, Gagbepe Agodome, when you are going to Nyangbukonda, sometimes they must ferry the dead on their shoulder. It is unpardonable, it's intolerable. It's it's despicable, to say the very least, because if you consider what we contribute, the amount
but what
of
has been the
food,
posturing of the assembly?
Yeah, well asked, but then what has been also the resource flow to the assembly? So what can they do? The assemblies can embark on upgrade of feeder roads, but what's their capacity to be able to construct a road? So when the NDC was in government, the Nyangbo Agodome Konda Road, we did it. It's a whole mountainous area. Sometimes, if you are not brave as a driver, you cannot even drive on that road. Okay. I think it was left with the bitumen for us to pour on that road, you know, for the people to express total joy. The MPP came and abandoned the road in 2017. And so, because it's lying on mountain, the erosion is destroyed almost everything beyond, you know, consideration. So we have a whole lot of tasks now to rebuild. I believe and I trust in John Dramani Mahama.
What was your promise to your constituents?
A lot.
Like?
So you go for what is immediately available to you. About 60 to 70% of my people derive their livelihood from agriculture. And I am an agric person. I have a background in agric and governance. You know, so I intend to...
Were you looking forward to be named as Deputy Minister for Agric?
Not at all. I'm interested in having the plight of my people solved.
Did you lobby for any position?
I haven't.
But you don't think that if you're part of the decision-making table, then you can put across the plight of your people?
So governance in our part of the world and everywhere is about three main branches: the legislature, the judiciary, and the executive. And so from within Parliament, I am able to embark and make any kind of relevant policy decision that will shape the course of this government to benefit my people. That for me is a reality. I don't need to be a minister necessarily to influence policy. In Parliament, I can. And that is indeed what we've been doing. I will be able to do it. We'll have to shape the course of those in the executive.
Okay.
Yes. And so behind the scene and everywhere, all the juicy ideas, all the valuable insights and inputs, all the perspective we can couch in order to polish the effort of those in government, we should be doing it relentlessly. Because at the end of the day, when the government succeeds, my people benefit. And I'll be overly super excited. That is my job.
Some say this particular majority has become nothing but a rubber stamp. They are all over chasing positions, and so they are not even seen in the chamber.
No, far from the reality. It's part of the grand scheme and theatrics of the micro minority. You see, when you are in government, you have more responsibility, to be concerned about bread and butter issues of your people. But when you are in opposition, yours is just to make noise, or be it constructive or ugly. So even on a typical Friday, where MPs from very remote constituencies are supposed to drive several hours, 8, 7 hours. Imagine somebody from Yoyo, Bunkrugu, Paga, Navrongo, and got a funeral to attend to. He gets to the chamber, business commences, and then maybe 2 or 3 hours he takes off. Then you have this minority people counting the number of MPs who have remained in the chamber, and they will raise quorum and say, look, the number cannot suffice for a quorum to continue business of government. And then, of course, the media, your responsibility is to pick it up. And then, so once that is done, then the public thinks that we are not utilizing our super majority. It is not the case. I think in the days ahead, we'll revise our strategy so that even at midnight, when the MPP is gone, we'll still be transacting business. If
24-hour economy.
24-hour economy, 3 shifts.
Let me take a few messages coming from some of your constituents.
Okay.
This one is Innocent Simbad Ice, and he says, great man for the new revolution. Richmond says, good morning, MP. This is your son, Richmond. All the best. You know Richmond?
I know Richmond.
Okay.
I know Richmond in one of the senior high schools. I think he's done now.
Okay, okay. Yeah. Noble Jesse Glickbo says, I see you, Honorable Frank Afriyie. Great dialogue. Okay. More messages. Your tenure will be long. Somebody says your tenure will be long in Jesus' name.
That's my sweet wife.
Oh, that's your wife? Oh, that's sweet. That's sweet.
Oh. I receive it, my dearest.
Oh, that's so sweet. On that dearest note, I take a break. I'll be back shortly. You're welcome back to the show. This is still GH today here on GHOne TV, and it's still the Hard Talk segment. My guest is still seated, the Member of Parliament for the Afadjato South constituency in the Volta region, the Honourable Member Frank Afriyie. Yes. He's a new entrant. He was the constituency chairman for that constituency. He rose. He beat his boss and then took over the reins of the Afadjato South constituency. He's spelt out his vision for the constituency, how he wants to make the constituency look, especially in the area of tourism and the access to road network in that area. But we're talking about Parliament. Are you impressed with the conduct of Parliament so far? I mean, you were sitting outside, now you are in. I mean, a lot of people had a lot of things to say about the 8th Parliament. The 9th Parliament, it feels as though it's a continuation of the 8th Parliament.
Well, it depends upon the lens with which the viewer is looking at this whole thing. In fact, I have witnessed and encountered a good number of incredibly extraordinary individuals within the Hollow Chamber of Parliament. Look, these are men and women of substance and caliber. So ordinarily, you expect the best out of them. But you see, I have come to appreciate something more. That is, when you group human beings together, it really doesn't matter who they are. If you like, with the greatest respect, put all pastors together and send all of them to the classroom and then subject them to a bit of condition, depending on the extent or gravity of that emotional condition, you get varied reactions. Okay? Especially when it has to do with struggle for power. So some of the SSCs, some of the theatrics are clearly avoidable.
Okay.
But to me, it's human. Just that we must be minded of the kind of image, respect that we are expected to command from the populace. I think that it's extremely important that we appreciate the unique position we occupy, because of all the over 120 Afadjato citizens, I couldn't be the best, not in intellect, not in any way, but then I'm privileged enough to be their representative. So the office you occupy alone must urge you to go for super excellence, if there is something like that. And so for me, even in a moment of emotions, I try to self-regulate. I try to ask and remind myself that, look, there are people who are looking up to you. There are younger ones who are students, future leaders in every respect, future teachers, medicine, doctors, future MPs, and the rest. And so we are indeed role models. The title we enjoy, in a day, when you get to the office, wherever, people address you honorable. That honorability ought to reflect. It shouldn't just be...
Is it reflecting in the current parliament? I mean, looking at the brawls we've seen so far.
No, largely it is. I think that regrettable, isolated incident, but that cannot constitute the norm. That cannot. And especially so when you have a super fantastic individual as the speaker. This is somebody who has risen from the very low to the highest point. And indeed, he's a role model to most of us. He's cheap. His types are not very common. You are sometimes tempted to liken him to mortals, extra mortals.
Really?
Okay. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. You get closer to him, despite his age, the next moment he meets you, and he mentions you by your name. And he recalls everything. I recall the few days of orientation. The opening day, he was there. Throughout it has shared exciting moments. Gave us reason to feel belonged and then to embrace this responsibility with the best, of our ability. Somewhere in the course of the week too, he came back, despite his heavy schedule. He came back to see how we were faring. In fact, whether we were being taken good care of, whether patronage was okay. He came to assess that. And on the last day, he came, so I told myself, look, we, the new MPs, are close to 100. We are many. What can I do to capture the attention of this man? And I said, look, I must look for an opportunity to ask some extraordinary question, a question that is not normal, So the last day, after everything, we were told only 2 people could ask questions. Fortunately, I was seated in front. So I was appointed alongside one other lady. Then, all of a sudden, some colleagues of mine said, no. They should rather give an opportunity to another colleague MP of mine. He likes engaging in lots of humorous, issues. Anytime he speaks, the whole class, in quote, we go into very ecstatic mood.
Right.
So, but I took the opportunity to ask the question.
Okay. And
he answered brilliantly. 2 days later, I went to his senior aide, his chief of staff, Honorable Afadjato. That, Honorable, I would like to see Speaker and then to officially announce my presence. And I was fortunate. He escorted me. When we got there, this man had a whole bookshelf long enough to be the nation's library. And he stood and he was scanning through. Okay. So I asked myself, at his age, with all his wealth of knowledge, he was still seeking more.
Okay.
Looking and selecting a book to read. And so when we got there, humbly, as usual of him, he asked how I was doing. Then Honorable Afadjato, I said, right, Honorable Speaker, do you know him? He said, is he not my attention-seeking MP from Afadjato South?
well, we hope that the attention you sought from the Speaker will speak volumes, especially in the chamber.
Absolutely.
That you project to your constituency and then get the needed help that they need
Absolutely.
for development for the area. We thank
That's
you
my
for
objective.
coming.
Thank you so much.
The Honourable Member for the Afadjato South constituency.